Welcome everyone, this is Pineleaf Needles and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. This week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi, hi.
Erendis,
Hey, everybody.
and Cinders.
Hello.
Hello there. I hope you all liked your vacation from last week. Yes, I think I've got my technical difficulties all sorted out, so let's get on with this week's show, and we'll begin with a note that they have tweaked the Bulwer Update 24 release notes. There was not a Bulwer release this week, but there is going to be another one next week, and part of it was to catch up with what's going to be in next week's build, and some of it is to clarify what they're doing with the virtue system. Like, one of the things that they were noting is what is going to be happening for the various forms, various sources of virtues that currently exist in them. And one of the things of noting is that virtue tomes found in old rare loot boxes have been replaced with an item to grant virtue XP, for example. The Gift of the Valor will give 5 items that grant 20,000 virtue XP and 10 items that grant 10,000 virtue XP. I don't know why that's their way of granting the XP. That's so I was like, okay, well, that's 200,000 XP. Why split them into all those tomes? I don't know. Maybe it's because that way you could set which books which virtues you have active when you hit each of the tomes. That might be the reason for that. And then the Blessing of the Valor will give 20 items that grant 20,000 virtue XP. And the Aria of the Valor will give 5 items that give 70,000 virtue XP and 15 items that grant 20,000 XP. And the virtue XP items from the Valors are acquired via the quest after consuming the Valor items. And note that virtues are being unpublished from the LOTRO store. They'll no longer be available for purchase. All currently held virtue tomes will convert into items that grant virtue XP.
Cool.
All right.
So, what is wit? Do we have any information about that and I've just missed it?
It's a new virtue that's...
I can see that it has been added to the game, but I was wondering what it does.
Ooh, I'm trying to remember because I know the first time I saw it, they had not just said TBD. I think the build after that, they had some things on it. Unfortunately, I can't remember the details. I didn't write it all down. But okay. I think they were still tweaking that one the last time I checked on the matter.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I guess that's the question. Yes. Hopefully we could look at something next week and find out what that is.
Okay.
Assuming you all remember it, right? Let's see. And there's a Kent-based... And now let's then head into our LOTRO Beacon for the week. And this is Beacon issue number 112, where they make it clear from the banner at top that the Spring Festival is back.
Yes, there are shrews.
Yes. Whoop, whoop. Let's go and stomp on a few shrews, it sounds like. But in our community spotlights, Weatherstock 11 is coming to Langeville on July 20th, and you could click on their link for more information on what's going on there. And on Sunday, May 26th, Second Breakfast will be holding their 5th Memorial Day cookout at the Crick Hollow as they celebrate the coming of 4-Elite and the arrival of the summer. Click on there for more info, but if you're not listening to live, you've probably already missed the event. The Purple Pipeweed Parlor Band has added a regular musical performance on Brandywine called Pipeweed Happy Hour, and you could click on the link to find more about this bi-weekly event.
Can I just say how entertaining it is to hear Pineleaf say Purple Pipeweed Parlor Band?
That was that bad?
It was pretty impressive, actually.
It was. It's just really entertaining to hear you say it.
Right.
Some things are just funnier when Pineleaf says them. I don't know why.
So you could technically say that Terry Adwin enjoys it when Pineleaf proclaims purple pipeweed parlor. Because yay, alliteration.
Well, you got to remember is that I am the one who's been known to present alliterative poetry on this place.
I think we need to shorten it to the TPPPB.
It'll be easier for me to say purple pipeweed parlor band than that. Usually when I start to say acronyms, I really get tongue-tied on acronyms. And anyway, this is a recurring event on the second Saturday of each month from 9 to 10 p.m. server time.
I wonder if you have to smoke pipeweed when you go.
Maybe they have somebody selling it if you don't already have it.
Ooh. Oh. I suppose I could find out if I clicked there to learn about this new bi-weekly event.
Yeah. Now, their way of wording it is it's rather strange how they word because they say every second Saturday of each month, but they say it's bi-weekly. I mean, you could say it sounds like to me that they're intending to say it's on the second and fourth, which would normally be bi-weekly unless you have the extra Saturday, because otherwise it sounds weird when you say every second Saturday. Well, every second Saturday, because the whole thing sounds weird. Perhaps we could get some clarification on that matter, on exactly what they intended there.
How to confuse Pineleaf in 3 easy steps.
It says nothing about pipeweed, so you might have to bring your own to that event. Bring your own pipeweed. BYOP.
And Fibro Jedi has the guide to the Springfest Encore events for the hedgeways, the mounts, and the cosmetics, and you could check that out. I presume though it really hasn't changed all that much from the originals.
Well, no, but for people who didn't check it out the first time or need a reminder of where to find the link, that is handy.
Yes, you got a point with that. Then, in the kin hall, the Council of the Secret Fire on Landfall and Honor is a casual kinship with the only requirements boiling down to demonstrating ongoing respect for your kinmates and fellow players. For more information, you can check out their forum post at the link. Yep.
It does make me wonder if they do events in Esteldine.
Ooh.
Well, I suppose there is always that little possible. I've always associated them with Gandalf. Council of the Secret Fire with him. But let's head into our weekly comment. And which is your favorite episode of Bingo Boffin?
So, if I had actually done all of the bingo quests, I would be able to weigh in on this one a little bit better, but I have yet to complete all of bingo.
How far have you gotten?
How far have I gotten? Because I'm pretty sure I've done all of these with you, Pineleaf. With Pineleaf and Sands.
We've been trying
I think I've gotten into the Misty Mountains. And he's fallen down a hole.
Okay. So
I think that's the furthest I've gotten.
All right, so that's about a third of the way through. So how'd you say, what's your favorite one for the first third then?
I think probably the swimming one.
Yes, the swimming lesson?
Yes.
Right.
Because it is so ridiculous.
Mine is actually the one immediately after that, where you do the strength training by lifting a mug.
That's a good one.
The strength training by lifting the mug.
Uh-huh.
All right. And let's see. How about Arendis?
I have not started bingo yet, so I can't really weigh in on it.
Okay. You
So
got to
his
do that.
harvest ones are pretty good too.
Yes, that's right. Because I am trying to decide between.
No spoilers, Pine Leaf.
Yeah, I'm trying to say this without spoiling. This one's a very, very late one, and let us just say that he. Oh, how's the best way of saying? Where you're going into a place where you have a chance to come up close and personal to a mob that normally you would probably prefer not to be up close and personal to. Is probably the best way I could say that without any spoilers.
Ooh.
And let's see, but the other one though has to be the other fall festival one, the second fall festival one where you have the one with the letters in it and Bingo Boffin figuring out what's going on, stuff like this. Sort of like Bingo, it is, let's say, where he's getting competent as opposed to the early ones. I know you like the laugh of when he's in his least competent form. I like some of the ones that are more when Bingo Boffin is a little bit on the more competent side.
Yeah. So his treasure hunting ones are pretty cool too. Through the Lone Lands.
Oh yeah, yes, through the Lone Lands, yes. Oh yes, Theodore has some interesting touches to the whole thing. And I think that's enough for that. So let's then continue on with the rest of the weekend and into the fan site news. Dr. Corey Olson has a new episode of Mythgard and Middle-earth. You can watch Gondor Has No Druids with Druid Fire, Epic Shenanigans with Tesla the Panda, Adventures After Dark with the Big Ed Mustafa, Saturday's Journey for a Wandering Red, and you can join Val Biel as she plays Lotro, and you could adventure in Dunland with the Dwaro Scholar. And our screenshot of the week is Aradale and Lilac Lace. Go to Erebor for this week's screenshot of the week.
She looks a little chilly.
Well, yeah, it's probably not the ideal outfit to. But actually, who knows what the temperature is down where she is at, because she's not on top of the mountain.
No, but I seem to recall patches of snow not too far off from there.
That is true.
All right, you've got a point there.
But it is a great shot, and I love the outfit of the elf too.
Mm-hmm. So it's a beautiful matching. It reminds me of the Lilac Festival in this area.
Well, when you consider, she is called Lilac Lace.
Yep.
And that is it for our Lotro Beacon for this week. So we will head into store sales. Terry, what's on sale this week?
Oh, do I have to?
That bad?
Well, yeah, kind of. You get, the weekly coupon is okay. It's 10% run speed boost times 5 for 90 minutes with the coupon code RUNMORE. And then the sales, 30% off Locks Box Keys. Ooh. Legacy tier upgrade, I don't care. Legacy item stat upgrade, I also don't care. Universal solvents, when you want to make your own essences, which I also don't care about. Now through May 30th. But I guess if you really don't want to spend 42 days of Minas Tirith to get that LI up to spec, because you really, really are worried about getting your LI up to spec, because I'm not, this is the solution. You wait for the 30% off sale, and then you just buy it.
I try to remember, is this because I know there were a couple of times where I had incorrectly thought it's what it was. Was this the first time where the coupon code was really for the 10% run speed times 590 minutes?
I don't know.
Because I think the last couple of times where I thought it might be, there's no, that's the combat speed one. But this time, yes.
Oops.
Yeah, this time it really is the out of combat speed boost instead of the combat speed boost.
I'm going to say because the Warden totally needs that combat speed boost.
No, we don't. The Warden actually doesn't really need the out of combat speed boost, so I probably have to give this to a different character.
I destroy those combat speed boost thingies when they drop from my Hobbit present. Because by the time you remember that you have the thing and go to click it, you're either dead or the thing you were trying to chase has gotten away from you.
Well, there is that detail, which is why it's a nice change that
there's two reasons to combat speed boost, and neither of those things is really something that you need a clickable combat speed boost for.
Running to a mob or running away from a mob?
Running away from a mob. By the time you find it in your bag so you can use it to do either of those things, you have failed at either of those things.
Now, what I want to know is if you can do the alt-click thing on it and do all of them at once and then just have it for days.
No, because there's a cooldown.
For the
combat ones.
For the combat ones?
The combat ones are only good for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Right. The out-of-combat
there
ones,
is a
you
cooldown
can
for
5 of those. And
yeah, and then you can stack up that run speed boost for like up to 6 hours, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I've actually done that. When they take up space in your bag, you just click them until you can't click anymore, and then you have run speed for days.
Yes.
It's great.
Hedgehog Miller.
Well, it's only plus 10%, and if you're on a character who already has run speed, it doesn't stack with that run speed, so it's not like Sonic the Hedgehog. No, it's useful on characters who don't already have their own run speed, like Champion, Minstrel, pretty much everything that I play.
Well, and anything running with a high elf who has it equipped.
There is also that. Because I find it useful in my ward when I'm running with the high elves, so I could match the high elves instead of either being too fast for them or too slow for them.
Yep. That and coffee. That's how Pineleaf kept up with Sans and I.
Well, yes, when you get to higher levels, you could be using coffee instead.
Run speed boosts and caffeine.
Yep.
Let's head into our site news where where in Middle-earth is Emeraldina number 8, and
there's no new one because they didn't talk about it last week.
Because we didn't have a show. Pineleaf's mic broke.
I know.
Yeah.
And also because I was doing something else this week.
Yeah.
And realized about 48 minutes ago that I had forgotten to do it.
Yeah, well, I have a rough idea of where this one is. I actually only just saw it today because I didn't even think to look for it last week because we were too busy trying to troubleshoot Pineleaf's mic. And then I was too busy to actually look at LOTRO Player site all week. So I didn't notice that there was an Emeraldina until today. So good job. I haven't been looking at it all week trying to figure out where she is. I only just started trying to figure out where she is. But I have a general area idea, but I need Pineleaf to fix the picture before I can look at it a little closer.
Yes, well, that's when the site decides to allow me to go in.
But hey, we were right about the previous one. It was the Bitter Stare.
Mm-hmm. It was like 2 landings up.
Well,
telling Pineleaf that I was familiar with before the show because we don't ever talk about it on the show. We try not to spoil that location, but I was telling Pineleaf that I'm actually really familiar with that spot because it's a great place to get that Enmity of Hillman deed done.
Mm-hmm.
And I play it. That's a specific to men characters, and I play a lot of women, so
yeah, there is that.
Yeah. So, yeah, part of my goal with doing the Where Middle-earth is Emeraldina is to see if I can stump Terry. and see if I can
Well,
find
nothing.
somewhere.
How in the world did you attempt to stump her with, I think, the one before that, where you were right outside the House of Elrond?
Yeah, the Rivendell one was not a stump one.
Well, I was hoping that she would overthink it, because that
No.
can happen too. And
No, I overthought the one with the shrew.
see, it works. Just not multiple times in a row, apparently. So,
That's actually the only one that has stumped me so far is the shrew.
Or
You'd
are
have
we
to get more
learning that
creative.
now? Yeah, are we learning that now you just need more cosmetic pets in the picture to disguise?
no,
was
that
all
wouldn't be
the shrew.
fair.
Like,
That wouldn't be
cosmetic pets are
fair.
not fair.
No, the idea is that you could figure it out, but that you might have to either go somewhere you wouldn't normally go, or you would have to really, really know the game.
Yeah,
So.
well, especially since
and-
the shrew one required you to be at the Spring Festival to be active, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did that one specifically because it was in the middle of Spring Fest. So when there is a festival on, what I've been trying to do is pick something that would give it that kind of a feel. So like with the Yule Festival Encore, I took her out to the Smashed Snowman Village.
Talmethedis.
Out in Talmethedis. To kind of see...
That one I got, though.
Yeah, because some people have not been out there to know that it's there. I wouldn't have found it if Sans had not specifically shown me the first time we went through Talmethedris.
Hennethanoon was the other one I didn't get, because I did a lot of sightseeing in Hennethanoon, but I did not figure that one out.
Yeah. So the idea is always that there would be enough clues that you could figure it out. Because, I mean, otherwise it would be kind of cheating if you can't figure it out. And then nobody would want to play.
Okay. Then let's send it to our new player question. And Arendis, what's your question this week?
My question this week, I noticed that Weatherstock is coming back up again. How do you actually attend Weatherstock? Like, do you have to sign up somewhere, or do you just kind of attend, or...
You just show up.
Okay.
Okay, you need a character on Landrival.
Well, yeah, there's that. Or you can watch it on Twitch.
Yeah, you can watch it on... Yeah, you can also watch it on Twitch. But yes...
Character on Landrival out of the starting instance. You got to be out in regular landscape.
Yeah, and if you are very low level, then I suggest you stay close to the security guards.
Yeah, if you're lower than level 20-ish, you probably should let somebody know so that they can kind of sort of keep an eye on you and tell you where to go.
Yeah, tell you where to go. And then when you're on top of the hill itself, there is a security team that is constantly killing every single bird on Weathertop to keep them from killing any lobies. And of course, it does help if you turn your graphic settings to low, as low as you can get it, because you're there to listen to the music and not to look at people's graphics.
And also you might make sure your sound is on and turned up.
Oh yes, player music. Player music needs
just
to be
throw it
on.
out there. I mean, that would kind of ruin the point.
I remember my first Weatherstock where I didn't know you had to turn down your graphics. And I was wondering, why is everybody cheering so much? This music really doesn't sound all that great. That's because it was the sound was being all fouled up because there was just so much graphics there. The music was lagging out on my system. And it wasn't until we had everybody separated in the breakout bands during the latter part of it, where we had a small enough group where I was actually able to hear the music as it was intended to be. Years after that, of course, I turned down the graphics so that I was actually able to hear it as it was intended to be played.
So, Pineleaf, how many Weatherstocks have you been to?
Oh, let's see. Let's see. Because the last couple of years, I watched the stream instead of actually being on site.
Mm-hmm.
There is about, I think there's one point where I had five, maybe six straight that I attended personally, and those And there was actually one year where I was doing the official stream.
Ooh, that's cool. So I have a question. Pros and cons of watching it on the stream as opposed to actually going. Like, is one experience more engaging than the other? What would be the benefits if you wanted to do one or
Well,
the other? I guess. Did that
I
make sense?
guess if
Well,
you had,
They used to give out the Weatherstock Wayfarer title for people who were actually in attendance, but I don't know if they're still doing that or not.
yeah, that I don't know because the first year they were doing that, I was doing the stream, so they gave me the Weatherstock Steward title instead. So I
Nice.
don't think I got Wayfarer.
It took me 2 years to get Wayfarer.
So yeah, there's a possibility of getting Wayfarer title if they still hand that out. Now there used to be a contest run during that time, so therefore you'd have the opportunity to vote for the best band or whatever, because they gave out several awards. One of them was, I believe, one of the contests was being judged by the people running Weatherstock, and the other one was being done by the audience, and I forgot who would do the third one. Probably it was the breakout bands or something like that where they did the third one. But this year there isn't any there aren't any competitions for this year. They've decided it'll just be a music festival this year, so there won't be that. See, the big disadvantage, of course, is potential with lag and stuff like that. Because the more people there, the more likely the lag is, especially when there were some players who just didn't know when to behave, shall we say.
So then, what would be, if you were attending for the first time, what would be the expected protocol to make sure that you're in the category that does know how to behave?
Okay, first off, don't cast any spells on top of Weathertop during the event. Second of all, turn off things like cosmetic pets and cloaks. And that way you won't be adding to the lag that's on the system in there. So those are probably the three most important things is turn off cloaks, turn off cosmetic pets, and refrain from casting any spells and emotes and stuff like that would do, like forced emotes are considered absolutely do not do this.
Okay.
I can't remember if they ever figured out how to put up a temporary serious business up on Weathertop or Weatherstock.
And then my other question would be is if you were just kind of playing through and following the storyline, would you encounter issues in and around Weathertop? And would your play interfere with the concert that was going on based on location?
Oh boy, that's...
Sorry, that would be what I would want to know.
No, that's a good question. I'm curious too.
I remember one year, I believe someone did come up there trying to look for that stone that you're supposed to find, that G rune.
Mm-hmm.
That's on top. I think there was actually someone who once or twice where someone was actually coming up in order to do that. Of course, the problem is you've got 500 people in the area, and finding this G rune in the middle of this crowd of 500 people is just about impossible. I guess if you're lucky, you might do that. Hit the leave button and be able to be led to it. And if you I don't think you actually need to kill any of the Kraban up there for a quest. So
Nope.
yeah. So at least that won't interfere with it.
Yeah. Well, and then my other question would be: are they as tolerant of it as they are with other festivals with people playing through, or is it more of a you really should just avoid the area?
Well, I don't think there's any intolerance to it. I think the main problem is that good luck on not lagging when you're trying to do it.
Fair.
The lag is real.
Yes, the lag is real. Yeah, I would suggest that if you could arrange to be on a different layer when it happens than the concert, if you're questing in there, it would be great. I don't know though if they may have to turn off layering just so they could run the concert. Because
They
otherwise,
do.
how are you going to fit
Yes.
500 people there?
Yeah, they actually do turn off layering.
Yeah, so that would be a problem.
So in other words, instead of going to the lone lands, you should go north. To the North Downs.
Yeah.
For the next however long.
That might be an idea for that particular. Either I would suggest do it before the concert. If you have to do the questionnaire, know when the concert is so you can play around there at a different time or something like that. It's probably the best idea. If you're doing the epic there, because sometimes I do these quests that are up to the north with the hunters in there before I come down in order to speak with the rangers and do the ones at Weathertop. And yeah, if you're being there just before the concert, you might want to go directly to the Weathertop section. Hopefully get that done so you won't have to worry about it when the actual concert starts. So know the date and try to schedule your questing around it, because no, you don't want to go up the hill. Going up that hill is going to be a lag fest.
Okay, I have one more question. When you're up there with 500 people, do people fall off the hill?
Well, people have been known to fall off the hill, but usually it's because they're trying to. It's usually when they're doing either the march to or from Weathertop where most of the falling happens.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're so legged out on the path that you don't necessarily stay on the path.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it's going to be an interesting question to see what happens in relation to the 64-bit client. How much does it help? Does it reduce the lag any, or is it just so many people that, I'm sorry, it's not going to help one silly bit?
I don't know that it really is going to affect the lag a whole lot. I mean, it's going to make it easier for people's processors to get through all of the things, but I don't know, it still isn't going to help with lag necessarily.
It depends on what type of
coming from.
Yeah, because I know that during my first Weathertop, obviously, because I was telling you what I had, what it was happening to me, I know that my main source of lag that I was experiencing in that one was obviously on my side, on the processor side.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling the 64-bit client may have helped. Of course, they're turning on the graphics was also helped a great deal on that matter, of course. So yes, it may help, it might not help. We'll have to see at some point in the future.
Okay, so before we go away from Weatherstock, Weatherstock 11 and the Weatherstock Concert Series is going to start on the third Saturday in July, making it the 20th of July. So, in the past, the Weatherstock Concert Series had been held over the 2 weekends before Weatherstock, but this year they're going to hold it all on the weekend of the 13th of July, the week before the show at the Summit.
Right.
So, for those of you who don't know where to find that information, it's in there in the link on the LOTRO beacon. But it doesn't give a time, so you might just pick a totally different day.
What, for the
Summit concert?
Oh.
Because it doesn't give a start time or like a list of bands or anything like that on the informational sheet that just tells you it's coming. But if you're planning,
I will suggest that you avoid the Summit from noon to 6 o'clock p.m. on U.S. Eastern Time on Weatherstock Day. Usually, I think and also the Forsaken is probably a good, because I know sometimes they would have at noon the pre-concert at the Forsaken Inn. I can't remember whether that started at noon or ended at noon. I think they might start at 11, then maybe at noon start to march toward Weatherstock. But I think the concert itself tends to start at 1 p.m. Scheduled to go till 5, but last year was actually run right on time. But every Weatherstock before that, I always remember being each band goes late. I think last year was the first one I was at where it seemed like run right on schedule. So that's why I said avoid the place from noon to 6, and you'll probably be safe in that regard if you either get there before noon or after 6.
Cool. All right. I'm ready to.
All right.
I don't
And
have
I'm sure
anything else.
I'm sure that we'll have more information on that later as we get closer to the date. So let's head into our weekend in LOTRO. And Terry Adwin, what were you up to?
Not lots, as it happens. But Axley and friends worked their way through Eregion to rescue a dwarf. They did not do the thorough title in that place where you can get the title, the thorough. It was more of an in and out. And we had the most awesome moment ever because Pineleaf's little hobbit hunter tracked a mob that wasn't on the map because we hadn't mapped the whole place, but we were able to figure out where it was based on where the blank spot on the map was and kill it. And it was the last one that we needed in order to complete the quest so that we could get out of there. And of course we had a hunter with us, so yay, we didn't have to find our way out. It was
Right. What was even better was it was pretty much right next to the quest giver.
Yeah, it was right next to the quest giver. It was awesome. We didn't spend 5 days shambling around trying to figure out how to get back to where we were supposed to go.
Yes.
And Laurel and Terry reached level 89 and is on her way to Underharrow because yay, VIP weekend. It's so awesome. I went from level 86 to level 89 in like 2 days.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty great. And that was me. So Cinders, how about you?
Yeah.
So, I did this terrible thing called sleep. So things have been really stressful at school. I was telling the rest of the group earlier that I have a mason jar half full of chocolate chunks, that I am working my way through. It has been that stressful. So I have pretty much come home and slept every night or done the bare minimum to continue to function and get ready for the next day. So I have not done any playing in LOTRO. I am looking forward to June 10th and being able to play a whole lot more. So, how was your week, Arindis?
Well, I wasn't able to do much this week either, but I was able to advance a little bit of the epic story on my main champion. Don't quote me on this, but I believe it was Volume 2, Book 9, I think?
That sounds like Mirkwood.
Yes. But don't quote me on that. I might be remembering that wrong. But in
Well,
any case,
it definitely is. I've done it enough times.
Gotcha. Okay. I was in the middle of a quest where you're supposed to, it was an instance where you go with a group of elves and you're trying to take down an orc leader in some camp that was enclosed with a fence or whatever. But it also had, in the middle of the camp, it had a ruin of a castle with a staircase. And so, you're supposed to, you go in and you fight your way through all the mobs, and you get to the top of the staircase and you fight the boss. Well, it had gone swimmingly up until, you get to the boss. And then all of a sudden my health just starts dropping really, really fast. And so I'm doing the best I can and I end up dying. And I'm going, okay, it's an instance. I probably just failed it. So I get booted out and I was trying to jump back in. And, I went back to the quest giver and it looked like it had started over. It said, here's the name of the quest, here's the quest text, and this can only be done as a solo. You can't do this as a fellowship. And so I said, okay, I'm starting over. I hit, they accept, it loaded. I went back in. There are no mobs anywhere. It had reset. Or no, I'm sorry, it had not reset. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm still in time. Maybe people haven't died. Maybe I can still make this work. I go up to the top of this tower, and all the elves are just kind of standing around. They didn't need me. Why did they ask me on this quest? They had killed the guy after I was dead. These were like the most self-competent NPCs I've ever been with. It was amazing.
Yeah,
They
believe
wanted
me,
to make you feel good.
I think we've all been there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, believe me, we have all been there on that quest.
Well, just
Mirkwood
'cause-
Landing.
Yeah, because I thought that I had failed it because the quest text came up. It wasn't like a continue or anything like that. It was the same quest text that had happened at the very beginning. So
Yeah.
I thought that I had completely restarted it. And then I'm trying to book it up to the top because I thought that the guy may have been like 2 health away from dying, and then I'd have to do it again. And they're just all standing around like, oh, hey, what's up? Why are you running? We got it here. Anyway, so
Yeah.
that was basically my week. So Pine Leaf, how
Yeah.
about you?
Staying alive in that instance is tough. And fortunately, yeah, the elves are confident enough that it's not all that unusual to come back in. If you come back in before it resets, yes, you do very often find the elves have finished the work for you. Yes, as for me, on my honor warden, I completed the last of my class deeds that I had already unlocked, which means I have currently no class deeds, none of those class deeds that need to be done. Now, there is one more that I know I have not yet unlocked, and that was Darkness Before Dawn. But I think once I do Darkness Before Dawn, I don't think there are any more warden deeds after that. In which case, it'd be nice to have all that done. And I also finished Enmity of the Spiders 3, which completes the last of my racial deeds. So I'm really finishing up my deeds all around there. And I continued on questing, and I reached the Redhorn Lodes on that character. Now, during the field trip, we decided that since we didn't have our usual groups there this week, we decided to head over into Honor, and we ran some skirmishes. So we ran Trouble in Tuckborough, Thievery and Mischief, Defense of the Prancing Pony, Attack at Dawn, and Storm on Methadris. So quite a number of skirmishes that were running in there. And of course, unlocking all those duo lieutenants, because so far on that particular server, I had only been doing solo skirmishes. So therefore, all those new lieutenants that I hadn't encountered yet were also being unlocked. Then for Friday Night Fight, we, first of all, not last week, but the week before that, since I didn't cover that last time, we ran 2 of the Annuminous instances. And of course, the 2 that we decided, we thought, all right, well, let's run the Annuminous instance. So we run 2 of them. And of course, the 2 that we wound up running before we ran out of time were the 2 that I really don't particularly like, because one's the one that's in that undead place. And I really don't particularly like some of the stuff some of the pain you have to go through in order to do that. And then the other one, of course, is one with the trees in there. And well, anyway, I like the Tomb of Elendil, but the 2 that we did there, I don't particularly like. But oh well. And this week, we ran a pair of skirmishes, breaching the Necromancer's Gate and assault on the Ring Raid's lair. And we are doing that Tier 1, level 120, with 4 120s and a 119. So we were a little on the low side on that. And now let's head into our news in Beyond LOTRO, and we'll begin with the One Ring Second Edition has been announced by Cubicle 7. And I think that pretty much says they have announced a second edition of the game, and there is an article at the site. And the One Ring Lord of the Rings role-playing game will be launched between Q4 2019 and first quarter of 2020 with the core rules in the starter box. Below, you can see the products currently in develop, the One Ring Lord of the Rings role-playing game, 352-page core rules featuring new art, maps, rules, and for character creations, and everything you need to adventure in the lands of Middle-earth. And also be making a starter set, a Lore Master screen, and Legends of Middle-earth. Fell Foes, a dedicated bestiary containing fell foes and dangerous creatures from across Middle-earth. Minas Tirith, the Tower of Guard. The Errantries of the King, a campaign adventure set in Gondor, written by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan, author of The Darkening of Mirkwood and Moria the Long Dark, explore Khazad-dûm deep beneath the Misty Mountains in the long-awaited adventure with the One Ring Lords of Middle-earth role-playing game. And as I said before, that will be available between fourth quarter of 2019 and first quarter of 2020.
So is this essentially like Dungeons and Dragons, but Lord of the Rings? Similar concept?
Well,
or is that like, blasphemy?
This
I heard a gasp,
actually
so.
probably more literally true on that. Is that there is actually a version of this that's also done as which is essentially using the Lord of the Rings setting, but with the 5th edition D&D rules.
And that's the
And
Adventures of Middle-earth, right?
Yes, and Adventures of Middle-earth.
So this is a whole different kind of a thing, or is it kind of a similar concept, but specific to
this has a
thematic
specific
material?
This is a One Ring. Yeah, this is One Ring. This is their own role-playing system that is done with this. In fact, I believe the Adventures of Middle-earth is based on. Is that based on the first edition of this game, or is?
I have no idea.
I'm getting I could get names confused sometimes. Yes.
I figured you probably knew more about it than I did.
Yes, unfortunately, you threw the question at me rather suddenly there.
Sorry.
All right, let's then head into our next little piece by the Darren Lore Master and for The Fall of Gondolin. One of the most beautiful and tragic stories of the Silmarillion is the rise and fall of Gondolin, the hidden city established by Turgon, the betrayal of Gondolin to Melkor by Turgon's own nephew, and the consequent city's destruction are narrated in a fine epic style, is with a nail-biting intensity that follows the escape of Turin, Eardril, and all that. So we have a little musical piece here on the fall of Gondolin. And this is done to the tune of Burn It Down. We currently have 19 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you get to support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or you'll be a guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast at LOTROplayers.com. And you can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, LOTRO Players at LOTRO Players, Arendis at Arendis, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda at Sanswinda, and Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin. And you can follow Cinders at Emeraldina. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Thursdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Technical difficulties aside, we have LOTRO Players News. You can hear live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.